Hello everybody, welcome to Giants RL. I'm joined today by the milestone man, Eorl Crabtree, who last week made his 350th appearance for the Giants. A remarkable accomplishment and one, Earl, I imagine you're very proud of.
Yeah, very proud. It was quite a momentous occasion for myself, obviously. 350 games, it's quite a lot. I'd like to say it's gone really quickly, but it's taken a long time to get there, and I've got a few more years to go yet and expect to get well over 400, so looking forward to that and looking forward to the future of the Giants.
Now you join us today because we've asked you to put a bit of a dream team together from your time at the Giants. Now I imagine it's taken you quite a long time to go through it. We've said that you can't pick any players you're currently playing with just to save you some grief more than anything. But before we name names, just how tough was it to do this?
I'll be honest with you, there was a few names that I just couldn't even remember. I had to ask around the club because I've been here for such a long time. There's quite a lot of players that have come and gone, and there's some big names as well. So there's a few people that I've missed out in my dream team, but to be fair, I've decided not to just go on talent. I've gone with people that I've been really good friends with and still friends with, and the great players work really hard and had that right work ethic, which I think is absolutely massive, and if the team was together, I think we would have done something pretty good.
We'll do the honourable mentions at the end, but if you are ready, I shall give you the pen, and first things first, we will start with the full-back.
Right, full-back, may as well get right up there. Number one is a legend of the Giants. It's the one and only Paul Riley, who's a great friend of myself and one of the toughest blokes in the world. He's just one of those people that just run out there and you know that he's going to give 100% in absolutely everything he does. And you know that he never let you down. Unfortunately, the professionalism of club over the years has got better and better. He wasn't really a part of that, and that was a massive shame because I think Riles could have been one of the best fullbacks in the country that he already was, but could have gone on to being even better.
Like I say, a great professional, and at a time when the Giants obviously weren't at the stage they are now, but nevertheless they were a shining light in that side at the time, weren't they?
Yeah, I think he was one of those people that you actually watched the game and thought, do you know what, he gives 100%, and he did, and that's what made me look at him and think, wow, what a guy, and I'll always remember him as being that player and putting his body on the line and working so hard for Huddersfield. I think he's been an exceptional player, and disappointing really. I think he could have gone on to being even better and maybe achieved a little bit more in the game if the team was more professional, the club was, and I think Super League as a whole, I think it's just developed over the years, and if he was a part of that, he would have been a fantastic player.
So next up, the right winger. Now I know there's been a lot of competition in this spot as well, but I'm sure you've made your decision wisely.
Do you know what? This one was an easy decision for me, a very easy one because it was a time when we'd been relegated and I was playing centre and I had one of the best wingers you could ever have outside you, a great bloke, great enthusiasm. So at number two, mind the way I'm doing it, being left-handed, is, I have to get the spelling right, is effing O'Hare. This is so small, I can't fit it in. Effing O'Hare, unbelievable enthusiasm, fitness and footwork as well. I think outside me, not bragging, all right, maybe a little bit, I think he's got about 35 tries throughout the season. On the inside, I only got 25, but I'll take that since I only get like one a season now at prop. But Effing O'Hare, again, is one of those shining lights again. He just worked as hard as he possibly could. Great player, good enthusiasm, and a joy to be around. He was one of those that lit up the field, not just playing rugby as in games, but training as well. It was just great to be around.
Like you say, obviously played in the lower leagues to start with, nevertheless a great talent, and I imagine he could have played a lot more Super League.
Yeah, I think with players like that, they sort of come and go, and unfortunately for Effin, he played a couple of years in Super League, but went on to play a bit of rugby union in Edinburgh, and I think he just wanted to move on to different things, and again, as development goes throughout the club, I think he sort of just didn't go with the times, as in they wanted something else, which is a shame because I thought he was unbelievably naturally gifted with his feet, his footwork were ridiculous. He could just step here, a little bit like David Fayum does, even though he's more of a loose forward, but he's got that sort of step where you just don't even see it coming and he's gone.
So in the right centre, is the dream team of that championship year staying together, or are you kept yourself out of it?
No, I'm the coach of this team.
Right, okay.
I've played 350 games. I've had enough now. I'm coaching from now on. So in this position, it's a player that probably a lot of people wouldn't think of. Is at number 3, another exceptional talent, and a player I was very fortunate to play alongside with. Not in first team, but through the Academy Alliance ranks, is Martin Gleeson.
Great player.
Yeah, exactly that. So Martin Gleeson is very fortunate to be in my team, obviously, but he's a talent that Huddersfield lost, which was a massive shame because he went on to be one of the best centres in the world. He was playing at Saints, absolutely killing it. Warrington as well, and unfortunately went off a little bit with a few injuries and things like that, and it didn't quite work out, but he's back at Salford now as well, doing what he does best. Again, great footwork. Knows the game, is a smart player, good flick pass as well, has learnt a lot at Saints, and makes it into a great right side, I think.
The thing with Martin as well is he's been so successful for so long now as well. He really has been, in the modern era of Super League, one of the great centres.
Yeah, without a doubt, and with the players that I've got on this side, they've all got that mentality, that winning mentality, and the likes of Martin Gleeson, who's actually been there, played at the highest level, and it's a name that seems to get forgotten a little bit now. But you've got to think of what he's won, what he's achieved in the game, which is more than most players can even dream of. Okay,
moving on to the other centre. Who have you gone on that side of the pitch?
This one was a tougher choice because I was racking my brains, and the likes of Chris Nero, who's a good friend of mine as well, who can play a bit of back row, and then one that cropped up, which is going to be very difficult to spell, was a player who was exceptional for us on the left-hand side as well. He was naturally gifted for that side. So in number 4, it's, like I said, difficult to spell. It's Paul Fatuira. So I got Paul, and then it's Watawiwa or something. I've got it written down here actually. So
it's not the easiest one to spell, is it?
What urea or something like that. So that you can't.
Sure
It's like a blur, so you can't really make it out anyway. It makes no difference. We'll get away with that one.
He'll just be pleased to be in the team, I imagine.
Oh yeah, of course. Right. Yeah, it would. With these lads as well, I think he'd have enjoyed himself. And Paul Fatuira, he was class for us, absolutely brilliant, great footwork again, skipped naturally overs on the left-hand side, which complements what Martin Gleeson used to do because he could skip the other way. Naturally left-sided, flick pass, smart, put on a twos pass as well, hit lines and tough as well. You would not want to mess with that guy. He used to shadow box when we was out and having a couple of beverages with the boys and just trying to socialise, and he'd be shadow boxing about a millimetre away from your face, and you were just scared because you could see how handy he was. Unfortunately, I think Fats had a few issues at the back end of playing for the Giants where he wasn't getting picked, and it didn't quite work out for him, and eventually he was released and went back to New Zealand with his family. And it was a shame to see him go because on his day, I don't think there's many centres that were better than him.
It would be a dream to play with on your inside. Who's getting the honour of playing on the wing with him?
I think, again, this decision was a little bit harder because I don't think we've had that many high quality wingers in that position. There's been a few that are very steady away and do a great job, but no one that really stands out above everybody else. So for me, another natural talent, someone who I grew up watching in a sense because he was a couple of years above me and I was just inspired by what he could do more so than anyone I'd ever seen at that age, is David Hodgson. And he got a lot of stick towards the back end of playing for the Giants, but I think some people don't really recognise what he did for the team, and he could finish a try, and he was fast as well. Unfortunately, again, he went through a few injury worries, and I think his Achilles cost him quite a bit, and that was a massive shame for him because it took him a while to get back, but he was a great finisher, unbelievable speed and smart as well. He's taught the likes of Jermaine McGilver everything he knows.
You got to say as well with David Hodgson, he's done it at every club he's been at, starting with Halifax and going through a lot of Super League clubs now, and he's scored tries regularly and consistently everywhere he's gone.
He is, yeah, and he's still wanted as well because he's such a smart bloke and he can teach people around him. He just knows the game inside out, and he's one of those that should be a coach because he can tell the wingers and like I say the likes of Jermaine exactly where to be positional wise, which a lot of speckies won't really realise, and including friends of mine who have said, oh, you know, he's useless at defending. I'm like, you've got it totally wrong. He knows exactly what he's doing, and sometimes it's because he hasn't had enough help from the inside, even all the way from the middle. So he's one that I'd straight have in my team, no problem at all.
Moving on to the half-backs, they're the influential players, they say, in any team. Who have you gone for? Who's been given this honour?
Another great friend of mine, and back at the club as well, is at number 6. Some may agree, some may not, but it's Chris Foreman.
Great player in his time. Great player.
He was outstanding for us, especially when we came up from the division below, came back into Super League. And he was a standout player and someone I'd looked to and I admired because I could see how much he worked. Naturally, very, very fit, worked so hard and tried to develop his game. And he had a bad ending, I think, at Huddersfield, but I don't think it was down to him. It was down to the way that he was coached, as in the sense that he had to move position, play at full-back's position, which wasn't his naturally. He played for Yorkshire at 6, absolutely killed it, and went on to Parramatta as well, where he played a few games out there, and he'll always be remembered as a great Huddersfield player and one of the best I played with.
Very intelligent player as well. He had speed as well, which helped him certainly in his earlier days, but he had that intelligence. You can see that in the fact that he's doing great things at the Giants as a coach now. Yeah,
he's working with the under-19s, I think, at the moment, who are smashing every team they're playing against, and him and Stu Fielding working very hard together. And it's great to see because he's one of the smartest blokes I've played alongside, and I think every one of these players that are in this team I'd consider as being a smart bloke, and I think that makes a difference to how you play, your mentality, and knowing what to do to get through games and winning games.
Everyone loves the scrum half. I imagine that this is one position you could pick quite a number of players, but I imagine there's one that in particular stands out for you. Who have you gone for?
Yeah, scrum half, and this guy could have played different positions for us, and I'm only putting him here because he's just got to fit in the side, and I think he could have swapped with Hooker quite easily, so he could have been placed there. But one of the best players that's ever, without doubt, played at Huddersfield, and not too long ago as well, is number 7, Brad Drew.
Unbelievable talent. He was an unbelievable talent. It was great to watch as well.
Yeah. He was amazing, natural talent, knew the game inside out, wasn't scared to do things that you wouldn't expect him to do. You know, like I think even John Sharp said he didn't want him to chip over, so the next game he went, nah, I'm chipping over because I've seen it on. And that's how he played. He played what he saw, and he could do things that probably other players couldn't do, and he attracted players and made sure that he made them look daft. Fast as anything as well, good footwork. He was only a midget though, very small, but pretty tough.
Like I'm going to say, you looked at the size of him, you'd never expected him to have the sort of pace that he did, yet he was fast out of the blocks, and he really did have the movement that you require to play in one of those pivots in any good team. Yeah,
I remember the first training session, and it was a speed session. We were just getting us back into it, and off the mark he was beating literally everybody in the team. There was no one faster than him, and we had the timed gates, and he just, from a standing start through over about 10 metres, he made everyone else look daft, and you could tell straight away he was going to be pretty good for us. And then off the back of it, he had the skill as well to match it, winning attitude as well. It would be a great captain in any team as well.
Now, in your more recent days, you've been a forward, should we say, pretty much all of your career. This is a specialist area for you, especially in the props. Who are taking these crowns?
So this is more of a tougher decision for me because I don't know as much about the backs as I do about the forwards. I know a lot about how to play a prop and about the props that we've had at the team. So I'm going with a prop here who is one of my best mates, and it may sound harsh to do, but that's the way I'm picking my team. He is in my dream team because I'd want to put my body on the line for this guy, and often did, and he did the same for me. Still meet up for coffees, and I'd like to see him in any team, and he's still going. He's about 41 or something now. I'm not entirely sure, but he's still going, give or take a couple of years. He looks at least 41 anyway. So I'm giving him the number 8 shirt here as well. So it's number 8 is Paul Jackson.
Paul Jackson. He was always an unsung hero in any side, wasn't he? He did all the hard work that no one really seems to appreciate, but the teammates loved him.
Yeah, they did. He's the nicest guy in the world. Naturally quite aggressive on the field, works really hard, great wrestle, low centre of gravity as well. His legs like tree trunks, so he was just so hard to tackle him, always found his front. But again, like you say, it's probably one of those people that don't say he stands out as being an exceptional prop or someone who made massive breaks. He didn't as such. He just did all the hard graft that people don't notice, including line speed, travel, getting back out as a third man retreat out of the tackle. And those are the type of players you need in your team, because it's all right having the people that can do fancy work, but you need someone to get you forward, and he'd do that.
We'll go to hooker next. We'll save the other prop. Now, this is another position where you could put a lot of players who don't necessarily play there. Who have you gone for in the end?
Okay, so I'm trying to find who is the best hooker, and there's been some great hookers over there. One of the natural ones for me was Darren Rocky Turner, who was a great friend of mine and got me through, and he was an exceptional talent, and I think he was battling this position, probably more of a natural hooker, but the guy I've gone for, because of everything he's achieved in the game, he could play hooker and play half as well, so if you ever get an injury, someone who could fill that position, swap with Brad Drew. So only because he didn't make it into my halves. And another exceptional talent who's achieved a massive amount in the game and still is as well at Bradford, helping out there, or the head guy at the moment, is the legend that is Robbie Paul.
He was hands down one of the most exciting players you could watch. It was just TV gold. He really was part of that era where rugby league propelled. When I remember that Challenge Cup game, 1996, was it? They got the hat trick. He was just unbelievable to watch, and even when he came to the Giants, he was still great to watch. That's
the reason he was in my team, and I think he played a bit of fullback. He could play half, play 9. In the latter days, he started playing a bit more 9, and he had an outrageous dummy to absolutely nobody that people just fell for every time. It was ridiculous. But experience, will to win, his drive, second to none, and he's still like that to this day, and that's what makes him the person he is, and he'd be great to have in any team. I don't think he'd want to play hooker all the time, but in my team, he's getting in my team, and he's definitely played hooker.
A character as well.
Yeah, great to be around, and again, the first sessions that we turned up, he was woohooing, the top of his voice, and everyone's like, what the hell is going on? Who is this guy? And he just added, again, a little bit more enthusiasm to the team and just got people trying to build them up, confidence, positivity, and he was fantastic to be around. A little bit strange at times, loves his in-depth conversations, and sometimes you can't get away from him, but he's a smart bloke and he's doing really well in the game.
So who was going in the front row with him? Who was finishing that trio off?
This trio, it's a great front row for me. At number 10, it's a player who I admired growing up, and I say growing up, I mean developing into a Super League player. Someone who I could look at and I thought, do you know what, he's a good bloke, he trains really hard and he's smarter than any prop I've ever met. Could make things look so easy with little twos passes, and not the quickest bloke in the world or anything like that, and probably didn't make as massive breaks yet again. But it is at number 10 is John Skandalis.
Now, you've mentioned him to me before when we've talked, and you said you learnt a lot from him when you were growing up. He was a great player as well. Like you said, again, you didn't particularly notice him all too much, but what he contributed to the team was loved by his peers.
Yeah, when you're playing rugby league, there's a lot of things that people don't realise, and it's speckies that don't sort of understand what goes on the field as such. Now, someone like John Skandalis, he could do his job, but at the same time, he'd be talking to everybody around him. So if they were to put a play on the inside of me, sometimes you can't hear that, and he'd be the first one to put his hand up and say, right, this is on, and then I could react off the back of it. And I think he taught me things like that, the little parts of the game that you just take for granted more than anybody else. His skill as well, and composure. He was one of the most relaxed people I've ever met, and I think that worked for me, that helped me, because I realised I could be like that, because it was always drilled into me that I need to be really tough, really aggressive, and I need to do certain things and just want to kill people. Well, Skando wasn't like that. He was a bit more smarter about the game and thought to himself that he could do this and it benefited him, and that benefited me as well. And I learnt a lot of him like that, mentality-wise, as much as anything else, and always be someone I look up to and still do to this day.
On to the final three. At the moment, the team's looking pretty impressive, I've got to say. Let's go with the first, second rower. Your choice is.
Okay, so the first, second row. This was again tough going into the forwards. For me, is always going to be the toughest one. Number 11 is a guy who's done so much yet again in the game. Works really hard in the small things that people don't notice. Maybe not given the credit that he deserves. He did represent Great Britain a few times, and I could have gone with a few. There's a few that we've been very fortunate to have, but down here at number 11 for me is a good friend, Stephen Wild.
So, what made you pick him over the others? Because there's been a lot of good second rowers in your time at the Giants.
Yeah, there has. The likes of Ben Rorty, who came in and scored on his first touch of the ball against Halifax at the then probably Galfam or whatever it was at the time. There's Lee Gilmore is another fantastic player. There's tons of players that could. Ryan Atkins is someone who probably doesn't get a mention, and there's a few I could just list them all off. But this guy for me was just a little bit different. His work rate and the tries he scored, and they were talking about him for Man of Steel, and he had one exceptional year where he absolutely killed it. Like all of us though, the game gets to you, and he had a few little injuries, little wrist injuries, and he struggled with that, but he's still going to this day, going into a testimonial as well. And he was a good guy to be around. He was the most negative person that I've ever met, but in a good way. It was all like sarcasm, and he was just one of the lads. Good to be around, and he'd have made it, especially in his peak of his career, into any team. He was that good.
Okay, the other second row we'll go with first.
Part of the Wolfpack, as we call them, which is slightly embarrassing, but me, Paul Jackson, and this guy, Andy Raleigh, who again is one of my best mates, and I've been very fortunate to meet some good guys over the years, and this guy is one of them. And us three, I think, will be definitely mates for the rest of our lives, never mind careers. So at number 12 is Andy. Getting there. It's a long way down this. Andy Raleigh, one of the toughest workers I've ever met. Someone who has grafted for the team, work as hard as he possibly can. And he had an outstanding year at Huddersfield Giants when he won pretty much every award that he could have done. And some people forget about that, I think, as well, because you do move on, and all these people in this team have achieved something at some point, and they've all been top of the game at some point. And that's what makes them so special, as well as being great blokes as well. So Andy is one of the fittest guys you'd meet. He works really hard, grafts of the team, and he'd never give in. So I think that's the kind of person you want in any team.
Still going strong as well. It has to be said, his testimonial year, and he deserves it, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He's been around the game a long time, and I remember playing in the academy at under 16 level with him at Huddersfield. He then went off to uni to study geography, although it hasn't really helped him. I think he just goes around Yorkshire playing rugby. That's about all he does these days. And going on from there, we just, you know what, it's just an easy way to pick this team is because of all these guys out there. So I just think going into the last pick, which was almost the toughest one, it was ended up being probably the easiest one.
Yeah. Let's go out with a bang. I'm sure you're going to do. He saved not the best till last, but he was one of the best of his generation, no doubt.
Yeah, we're not entirely sure what generation that is because no one actually knows his age. And
I was going to say, how old was he when you were playing with him?
Nobody knows. He was at least 45 when he started playing with us. Played at Hull KR and a couple of other teams, and probably played for a few in Papua New Guinea before he hit 30. Then he came over to England, and I think his English has got worse. But a great character, and if you haven't guessed it by now, at number 13, a true legend, not only of Huddersfield but of the game of rugby league, and the king of Papua New Guinea. It is Stanley Jean.
He will go down as one of the most popular players of all time. I can't see past him. Just the way he played, the way he conducted himself off the field, he was just great, wasn't he? He was great to be around and great to watch as well.
Absolutely, there's no chance that that guy will ever be forgotten, simply because he'll be around the game before before any of us sort of like quit basically. By the time that we all finish up in rugby league, he'll be still pretending he's 35, earning a living at OKR or something like that. He will live long in the game's memory, and that's fantastic to see. He should be a legend of the game. And for me, he's one of the most inspirational players I've watched and played alongside, because he could do things that nobody else could do. Barrel people out of the way, had great skill. He could only pass the ball underhanded to the left from a left-handed pass. Right-handed he could throw that fine, and then the other way he had to underspin it, which is totally irregular. So he could only throw it one way, he had to underspin it the other way, which is bizarre, yeah. Which is bizarre, but it's easier to do. But he never learned flicking it over properly. So how someone can actually go on to play at the level he did by not doing one of the most fundamental things in rugby league is unreal. But he could, and the memories of him just scoring tries and doing the Stanley Jean roll, where he rolled over the top of the ball.
Yeah,
and
how can you forget that?
I remember him doing one, I'm not sure if it was in the final or something, and maybe against Lee, and he rolled over, he got up, and then you could see the grimace in his face. It really hurt his back, and he just could not let it show, high-fiving people. And then walked back, and he was just in absolute agony. And that's one of my biggest memories of him, actually. I just remember that thinking, that's quite funny, really.
And the thing is with him, the influence he's had on rugby league over in Papua New Guinea as well, you see him all coming over now. His influence on the game, not just over here, but what he's done in his own country, is just monumental.
Yeah, he's been a fantastic servant to rugby league, but also inspiring people. And I think, especially in what we do in rugby league, it is about inspiring people, because we're trying to develop the sport and develop the game as a whole all over the country now. Stanley Jean has managed to take that abroad. He's taken it all the way to Papua New Guinea and inspire people there. Whether they become Super League players or rugby players, it makes no difference. But to get out there and enjoy sports and get people active, that's what rugby league's all about. And Stanley did that, but he didn't just do it here. He took it a long, long way.
And there we have it, the final 13, the Eorl Crabtree Dream Team. And I must say, Earl, I'm pretty impressed. It is not a bad looking side. How do you reckon it'd go as a team now?
Well, there's a few old players in there. I think we probably struggle right now, but
in the peak,
yeah.
Everyone
at the same time, I think that would have matched anybody. I think that would have challenged anybody. It's a good side. With me coaching as well, obviously
yeah.
We would have probably won everything. But no, do you know what? It would have been a good side to play in, be around, and I'm sure we would have gone okay. But the players that are in there have all done something, like I said, they've all achieved something at the highest level, and when they're at the top of their game, they were at the top, and they were matching anyone in their position. So I think that's why they're in my team, and I know I'd love to play alongside these guys.
So there we have it, the final 13. Of course, we didn't let you put any of the current squad in that, but how would the first 13 or the squad compete against them?
Pretty well. I think the team that we've got at the moment is one of the strongest teams that we've ever had, and sometimes results haven't sort of gone our way, but it's something we're trying to develop, and I think the teams around us have got stronger as well. But against this team, it would have been a massive challenge for us as a Super League team now against these boys. But likewise, I think the players that we've got are some of the most talented players that we've ever had. The likes of Jermaine McGilvery coming from absolutely nowhere, Leroy Kudja, Brett Ferris on the other side, and Jody Broughton with his speed, and Scott Griggs at fullback, Danny Brough. I mean, how's he not going to make your team? If I had to pick a few of the boys that are in the team now, there's a few guys that had pushed their way definitely into that side.
And just thinking, another 350 appearances, it might be a totally different team again. Ready for them the next 350 now? Is that realistic?
In the 350?
I know that might be pushing it a bit too much. I imagine your body's feeling it already.
Oh yeah, I'm falling to pieces, but that's again one of those things that you have to sort of deal with. But I'd be looking to go well over 400, pushing 450, and you never know, the record for the Huddersfield Giants is 485. I'd like to try and push that, and whether I do, it may not happen, but it's definitely a target to look for. And like I say, if we come back after 485 games, this team might be a little bit different.